Hello, honorable members of the clan. So, guys, let's go back to the Gauteng High Court after the long adjournment, which literally took 5 minutes before it was adjourned for the 7th of August. 2025. And the reason why the matter has been postponed to the 7th of August is because the defense, who is supposed to be rebutting all the evidence that was placed on the table by the state regarding the accusations of the unaliving of Senzo Meyiwa by the five accused that are in the dock currently. So the defense, after all the submissions that were made by the state, they felt that the state did not prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt, and therefore they intended to apply for Section 174 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977. In case you are wondering what on earth that is, basically is to say dismiss this case because the state has not proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt. And then if the courts or the judge for that matter feels that indeed the defense has made a credible argument, then the five accused may get acquitted by the judge or by the court of this matter. However, as you guys already know, that this trial is de novo, meaning it was started all over again. And because it was started all over again, it is not the fault of the accused, who in the first trial were paying the lawyers from their own pockets. And so when the matter went de novo, the state therefore took the responsibility to pay for the accused legal fees of the legal representatives. So everything that the defense has to do, they first have to consult with legal aid board. And now, because they want to bring forward this application of Section 174, they had to consult, of course, with legal aid board, and legal aid board came back to them and said, listen, we are having our executive meeting. I think they call it CMC sometime next week, and they would need them to ask or request for a postponement of a week or so that they can make a decision on this application, the 174 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977. And as a result, maybe I need to check out what does Section 177 is all about, and then so that we get to understand properly what it actually means, and what's the process of that. So just give me a few seconds here. Section 174 of the Criminal Procedure Act, indeed. And it reads, Section 174 of the South African Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977 allows a court to discharge an accused person at the close of the state's case if there is deemed to be no evidence against them. Effectively, if the court finds that no reasonable person could convict the accused based on the evidence presented by the prosecution, the accused is found not guilty and discharged. This provision aims to protect the accused from having to present a defense when the state's case is insufficient. So that's exactly what happened this morning. The state did close its case, and therefore the defense needed to come and rebut what the state has presented. Now the defense feels like there's no sufficient evidence that points that these five men that are accused of unaliving Senzo Meyiwa actually the evidence matches that. And we did see during the trial that number one, the crime scene was unguarded. It was not cordoned off by the first responders. Secondly, the investigators, the crime scene investigators, when they looked for evidence, they did not find, I'm talking about the initial guys, they did not find any bullet projectiles at the crime scene. However, came another investigating team, and suddenly there was a bullet head that was found behind a glass jar. And then you have to ask yourself, a bullet moving at that speed would not hit the glass jar and break it? So now suddenly there's that. And the third thing as well, the eyewitnesses speak of a firearm with a wheel, and the state came with a 9 millimeter. And of course, we also heard that one of the intruders, they left behind very crucial evidence of DNA when they forgot to take their hat along with them. And so that hat was taken for forensics, for DNA testing, and the results came back and said none of these 5 people were at the crime scene because the hat does not belong to them. And so that's the first big major hit against the state's case. And then, of course, cell phone towers evidence as well was presented. And the cell phone towers spoke a very interesting story of the 5 people, some of whom were in Fosloras, where Senzo was unalived around 5:30, 8 o'clock in the evening, but they had already left 2.5 hours prior to Senzo Meyiwa's unaliving in Fosloras. They were already in Joburg, others were already in Soweto at that time when Senzo Meyiwa was unalived. And also, accused number 2, who is Bongani Ntanzi, the eyewitnesses said that he had a gold tooth. And so accused number 2 was then taken to a dentist, and then that dentist did come and said that accused number 2 never in his life ever had golden insertion or any type of insertion on his teeth. And therefore, that evidence also fell away. And then there are a whole lot of other stuff as well that that also transpired. But for me, it was definitely the DNA for me, because I thought if the DNA proved that at least one of them was there, the one the hat belonged to was there, then I would have said, "Yep, okay, they got the right people." But the DNA said no. And then, of course, the AVLs and a lot of information that was not brought forward by the state that would have strengthened their case, which also includes key witnesses like Zungu Jr., who clearly lied through his teeth on the stand because he said that his father is also a key witness to all of this that has happened, even though his testimony would have been like hearsay type of situation, but the state did not call him. And let's talk about witnesses that were avoided to be called on the stand. That is the girlfriend and the mother, the child's mother of Senzo Meyiwa, that is Kelly Kumalo, was not called on the stand. The lady that is accused or alleged to have cleaned the crime scene, she was not called by the state as a witness. A whole bunch of people like Longwe Twala, who actually is alleged to have come with the pew pew to the Kumalo house, he was not called on the stand, even though we've heard radio interviews of him saying, I was there, and the next thing my phone was in my pocket, and the next thing my phone was taken by the police. We don't know which is which. And there's just too many things that were going on. What am I leaving behind? I know in the comment section, the honorable members of the clan will fill in some of the gaps. I'm just trying to think off my head, what else am I leaving behind that is crucial, that we all said, listen, George Baloy, which is Advocate Baloy for the state, ought to have himself put an end to this case, but he didn't. He was adamant, including for me, the most important evidence as well is the lead investigator, Mr. Brigadier Kininda, who initially his charges, or maybe his case, was based on robbery gone wrong. And then he takes the stand, and suddenly there is a mastermind that conspired for the unaliving of Senzo Meyiwa, and that so happens to be Kelly Khumalo. And then the questions around Kelly Khumalo were, so if then the lead investigator says she is the mastermind and she's responsible through conspiracy to commit unaliving on Senzo Meyiwa, why wasn't she arrested? Why is she a free woman? That did not make sense, and that was never answered, except to say that this was a prosecutorial investigation. I didn't even know if there was such a thing, and I'm hearing people who are in the legal fraternity saying that prosecutors, they get briefed by investigators, not that the prosecutors do investigations. Prosecutors make a decision whether that is prosecutorial or prosecutable, or it is not, meaning that when the state takes a case, they must be confident that they have good prospects of winning the case. If they don't have good prospects of winning the case, then they would withdraw the charges against the accused. But the lead investigator basically took the goalpost and shifted it to the state when he was being examined about why didn't you arrest Kelly Khumalo, the so-called mastermind. So to me, it screams Section 174 that the state should have made an application themselves, because clearly there is no case here. There is absolutely no case here. And this very channel, we've been saying it since 2023 when I caught on this matter. And I know that other YouTubers that were already doing it during the first trial, they've been saying the exact same thing too. We all believe that the correct people that's supposed to be on the stand, or I'm not on the stand, in the dock, are supposed to be the people that were with Senzo Meyiwa on the 26th of October 2014. That is Kelly Khumalo, Zandile Khumalo, the mother, Nthokozisi Twala, Tumelo Madlala. Who else am I leaving behind? The person that also cleaned the crime scene, allegedly, Mapiri, the civilian that was left with the crime scene, whom allegedly is Kelly Khumalo and Zandile Khumalo's uncle. I don't know what's his name, Khumalo. So there are a whole bunch of people that are supposed to be in the dock, not these 5 people. These 5 people, we believe that they were made scapegoats because the public were not relenting with justice for Senzo Meyiwa, because he was unalived in 2014, and by 2020 there were no movements. So in 2019, if I'm correct, the Meyiwa family decided to approach AfriForum, because they have in there what you would call a private prosecution unit, and so they thought that they would assist in coming to a conclusion regarding who unalived their child. Subsequently, the Meyiwas withdrew themselves from AfriForum, because AfriForum went with the same narrative of the state that the 5 people that are in the dock are the correct people. And yet, the Meyiwa family, on the night of Senzo's unaliving, Kelly Khumalo allegedly made a phone call to one of the family members of the Meyiwas and said Senzo was shot by accident by Longwe Twala. So that's the name that was alleged to have been said to a family member of the Meyiwas. So that is why the Meyiwas said, no, we know what we heard, what we were told by allegedly Kelly Khumalo, and as a result, they don't believe that the 5 people are the right people that are accused of unaliving Senzo Meyiwa. They were never intruders. I mean, I also did say there's the intruder story when I heard it in 2015. I was like, come on, this is so obvious. in 2014, on the 14th of February, Oscar Pistorius unalives his girlfriend, and he said he thought they were intruders. And so Senzo Meyiwa, a few months down the line, I think like 7 or 8 months down the line, he also gets shot and unalived. And then they borrow, I believe, some of that, and then they placed it on this matter and said there were two intruders because clearly there was already a cover-up that had started. And so the cover-up to this very day is active, hence you have scapegoats. So the government obviously in 2020 started making arrests and saying that they've made a breakthrough of who unalived Senzo Meyiwa. And if you listen to which I've already said many a times here, for those that are new in this matter, that they would get arrested for something, and then out of the blue they would confess to the unaliving of Senzo Meyiwa, which absolutely made no sense whatsoever. Didn't make sense. So which kind of confirmed to a lot of us that this matter is fabricated. And so that is why there is now a application that is pending for Section 174 by the defense, because they don't believe that the state proved its case beyond a reasonable doubt. So on the 7th of August 2025, they will come back and lodge this application, and we are going to hear arguments from the defense, and then we'll hear a response from the state, and then we will await the judgment from Judge Rata if indeed he believes that the state did prove its case. And if they did, then I guess the defense will have to continue to rebut every evidence that is being placed on the table, which includes the DNA test for me, as well as the gold teeth or gold tooth of both number 2 and 3. They tried to somersault. A lot of gymnastics were tried by the state in this matter. So let's see what happens on the 7th and what transpires thereafter. Are they going to get the fundings from the Legal Aid Board, the defense, to continue with the application? I don't know. I guess they will have to, because at the end of the day, Section 35 of the Constitution does force the Legal Aid Board to pay this because of their constitutional rights. The accused that they are obliged to have a fair trial. Let's see what happens. I guess this is what we've been calling for as well as the honorable members of the clan for the longest time. Hey, just put an end to this. Apply for Section 174. And here we are. We are here now, and let's see how it all goes. I'm very, very excited. I don't want to lie about this next phase of this case, so that sooner or later, the people that are responsible in the unaliving of Senzo Meyiwa are held accountable. I mean, I've always believed that the unaliving of Senzo Meyiwa was accidental, but whoever accidentally pulled the trigger. And I think they would have long time gotten the punishment, of course, culpable homicide. I think they would have been slapped on the wrists with the punitive measures, which I don't think would have ended them being in jail, serving hard time. The sentence would have been suspended, and it would have been over a long time ago. Even that record would be expunged by now. But now it has turned into a whole different animal altogether, which I think it is defeating the ends of justice. And I'm sure other criminal offenses are going to be added on top of that for something that was an accident, But it is what it is. People make choices. People choose to take the evil route. And there are consequences for that at the end of the day. And this is the consequence they are going to have to pay if indeed they committed a crime. We don't know. The future will tell, or time will tell, where all of this is going to end up. So I would like to leave this right here for your own taking, I suppose. I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section regarding this matter. I know I did leave out a lot of stuff. Please do fill them in the comment section. Those of us who have been following and been honorable members of the clan. Thank you guys so much for your support, and we shall see each other in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial on the 7th of August 2025. However, we will continue to see each other as always because South Africa right now is on fire, and I would like to be here in your face, basically telling you all about it. What happened, who's getting caught, and who's gonna get prosecuted, etc. and so on. Because Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi dropped them bombshells, and it's interesting how things are turning out, and how people are trying to trip over themselves, proving that they are competent when they're actually not. Where have they been all this time? And that, guys, I will see you next time. Please don't leave the video without liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Goodbye.